Level 1, the candidate. You apply online just like everyone else. There's a form on the Air Force website. Name, education, medical history. You click submit and go back to your normal life. 3 months later, your phone rings. They want you to come in. You drive to the recruiter's office. Strip lighting, government furniture. A sergeant looks at your file and asks you a question no one's ever asked you before. Are you willing to die for your country? You say yes. You don't know what that means yet. They send you to Maxwell Air Force Base, Alabama, Officer Training School. 9.5 weeks of hell designed to break civilians and build officers. You wake at 4:30. You run until your lungs burn. You study until your eyes blur. They scream at you until screaming becomes background noise. Out of your class of 200, 30 wash out in the first 3 weeks. They just disappear. Empty bunks, no goodbyes. That's the first lesson. The Air Force doesn't wait for you to be ready. You either keep up or you're gone. You survive, you commission as a second lieutenant. They pin a single gold bar on your shoulder. You're an officer now, but you're not a pilot, not yet. Level 2, the student pilot. The student pilot, they send you to initial flight training at Pueblo, Colorado. 2 months. You learn to fly a single-engine Diamond DA-20 Katana, a small, light propeller plane, nothing like what you imagined. You wake up at 500, pre-flight. Weather checks. Checklists that go on for pages. Your instructor sits in the right seat and watches everything, your hands, your eyes, your breathing. He doesn't say much. When he does, it's usually do that again. After 6 weeks, he tells you to fly alone, your first solo. You taxi to the runway. The seat next to you is empty. Your hands are shaking. You push the throttle forward. The plane lifts off the ground and suddenly it's just you. 3,000 feet of air between you and the dirt. Your radio crackles. You're alone. You land clean. Your instructor is waiting on the tarmac. He doesn't congratulate you. He says, now do it in the dark. You pass IFT. Now the real training begins. They send you to undergraduate pilot training, UPT, Columbus Air Force Base, 52 weeks. This is where pilots are made. Or broken, Phase 1, academics, aerodynamics, navigation, weather systems, aircraft systems. You study 12 hours a day. The material is dense enough to choke on. You take tests every week. Score below 85 and you're on probation. Score below 85 twice and you're done. Phase 2, the T-6A Texan II, a turboprop trainer that hits 320 miles per hour. Your first time in the cockpit, the acceleration pins you to the seat. The instructor takes you to 15,000 feet and tells you to do a barrel roll. Your stomach drops, your vision smears, you pull it off, barely. He says sloppy, again. You fly 6 days a week, formation flying. Night flying, instrument flying, where they put a hood over your head so you can't see outside and you fly blind, trusting only the gauges. One mistake and you're dead. Level 3, the Selectee. It's week 40 of UPT. Drop night, the night that decides everything. 200 student pilots sit in a room. On a screen, one by one, names appear next to aircraft. C-130 Hercules, KC-135 Tanker, T-1 Trainer. The transport guys get polite applause. Then they show a name next to an F-16 Fighting Falcon. The room explodes, then an F-15 Eagle, then an F-35 Lightning II. These are the fighter slots. Only the top 15% get them. Academics, flight scores, instructor evaluations, check ride performance. Everything you've done for the past year distilled into one moment. Your name appears. Next to it, F-16C Fighting Falcon ***. Luke Air Force Base, Arizona. Your classmates are screaming. You can't hear them. You're staring at the screen. You just got assigned to fly one of the most lethal machines ever built. A single-seat, single-engine jet capable of Mach 2, 9 Gs, a 20mm cannon and enough missiles to level a city block. But first, you have to earn it. They send you to Introduction to Fighter Fundamentals, IFF, Shepherd Air Force Base, Texas. 9 weeks in the T-38C Talon, a supersonic jet trainer from the 1960s that still flies faster than most of what's in the sky. No radar, no weapons, just you, the stick, and physics. They teach you basic fighter maneuvers, BFM, dogfighting, one-on-one, nose-to-nose, turning and burning at 500 knots until one of you gets behind the other. Your instructor simulates an enemy. He's been doing this for 15 years. You haven't beaten him yet, not once. The G-forces hit different in a T-38. You pull 6 Gs in a turn and your vision tunnels. The edges go gray, then black. You strain against your G-suit, flex your legs, grunt a controlled breath, the anti-G-straining maneuver. You do it wrong, you pass out. At 500 knots, unconsciousness lasts about 30 seconds. That's enough time to hit the ground. Level 4, the Viper pilot. Luke Air Force Base, Arizona Desert, 110 degrees on the tarmac. You report to the 56th Fighter Wing for the F-16B course. 6 months of learning to fly the Viper. The first time you sit in an F-16 cockpit, it's smaller than you expected. The canopy is a single bubble of polycarbonate. No frame, no obstruction. You can see everything 360 degrees of Arizona sky. The side stick controller is on your right. No center stick like other fighters. Your seat reclines at 30 degrees to help you handle the Gs. You feel like you're lying inside a missile. You push the throttle into afterburner for the first time. The Pratt & Whitney F-100 engine screams behind you, 29,000 pounds of thrust. You accelerate past 300 knots in seconds. The jet leaps off the runway like it's been shot from a cannon. You pull back the stick and you're vertical, climbing at 40,000 feet per minute. The desert floor shrinks to a brown blur below. At 30,000 feet, you level off. Mach 1-2. You just broke the sound barrier. You didn't hear it, you're ahead of it. Down below, someone on the ground flinches at the boom. They teach you weapons employment, how to lock a radar on a target 70 miles away and send an AIM 120 AMRAAM at Mach 4. How to roll in on a ground target at 15,000 feet and drop a GBU-12 laser-guided bomb through a window. Literally through a window. They show you the video to prove it. You fly 4 to 5 sorties a week. Each one is an hour and a half of the most intense focus you've ever experienced. You debrief for 3 hours after every flight. Every turn, every decision, every radio call, analyzed, criticized, rebuilt. Your instructor doesn't care that you hit the target. He cares that you hit it for the right reasons. You graduate the B course. They give you your patch. You're a combat-qualified F-16 pilot. Call sign assigned. Your squadron mates start calling you by it. Your real name starts to disappear. Level 5, the Wingman. Your first operational squadron. You deploy to a base you can't talk about, somewhere in the Middle East. Sand, heat, the smell of jet fuel and sweat. You're a wingman, the lowest rung on the fighter pilot ladder. Your job is to follow your flight lead, protect his 6 o'clock, and do exactly what he says. No questions, no creativity, discipline, your first combat sortie. You taxi to the runway at 200, it's pitch black. The stars look different here, clearer, closer, like they're watching. You run through the checklist one more time. Weapons armed, radar on, helmet visor down. You take off in formation with your flight lead. 2 jets 30 seconds apart climbing into the darkness. Your jet weighs 42,000 pounds fully loaded. It's carrying 2 AIM-9 Sidewinders, 2 AIM-120 AMRAAMs, a targeting pod, and 511 rounds of 20 ammunition. The radio crackles, your call sign. Then a 9-line brief, coordinates, elevation, target description. Friendlies on the ground taking fire. They need you now. You roll in, 15,000 feet above the ground. Through the targeting pod, you can see the muzzle flashes. You designate the target. Your flight lead clears you hot. You press the pickle button. The jet lurches as a 500-pound bomb falls away. 7 seconds later, the screen goes white. Direct hit. You pull off target and climb. Your hands are steady. Your heartbeat isn't. You just dropped ordnance in combat for the first time. Someone on the ground is dead because you pressed a button. The radio comes back. Good hits. Friendlies are safe. That's all you get. No applause, no ceremony. Just good hits and on to the next target. Level 6, the flight lead. 2 years in, you've logged over 500 combat hours. You've deployed 3 times. You've dropped more ordnance than you can count. Now they upgrade you to flight lead. This changes everything. As a wingman, you followed. As a flight lead, you decide. You plan the mission. You brief the foreship. You make the calls in the air. If something goes wrong, it's on you. Not the wingman, not the air tasking order. You lead your first foreship into hostile airspace. 4 F-16s, 20-mile spread, flying at different altitudes to maximize radar coverage. Your job is to keep them alive, complete the mission, and bring everyone home. The threat warning receiver lights up. SAM launch, surface-to-air missile. The tone is a high-pitched scream in your headset. You brake left instantly. Chaff and flares deploy behind you in a cascade of light. You pull 8 Gs in the turn, 8 times your body weight pressing down on your chest. Your G-suit inflates around your legs like a vice. You strain, grunt, breathe, keep the blood in your brain. The missile misses. You call the threat to your wingmen. Reform the formation. Continue the mission. Your wingman later tells you it was the smoothest SA break he's ever seen. You don't remember it being smooth. You remember your vision going gray. They send you to Red Flag at Nellis Air Force Base, Nevada, the most realistic air combat exercise in the world. For 3 weeks, you fly against aggressor squadrons, American pilots trained to fly and fight like the enemy. Russian tactics, Chinese formations. They fly F-16s painted in adversary camouflage. They think like the enemy, they fight like the enemy, and they're very, very good. On the first day, you get killed within 4 minutes. Simulated, but the debrief is real. Your flight lead performance is graded in front of 50 pilots, every mistake projected on a screen. No ego survives Red Flag, only the pilot who learns. Level 7, the weapons officer. After Red Flag, you apply to the U.S. Air Force Weapons School at Nellis. This is the Air Force equivalent of Top Gun, except harder, longer, and nobody makes a movie about it. The Weapons School is a 6-month graduate-level course. Only the top 1% of fighter pilots are selected. You fly more sorties in 6 months than most pilots fly in 2 years. You study every threat system on the planet: Russian S-400 surface-to-air missiles, Chinese J-20 stealth fighters, Iranian air defense networks. You learn how to defeat them all. The academics are brutal. You write a thesis-length paper on a tactical problem. You brief 4-star generals on your findings. You plan and lead the most complex missions in the Air Force, 40 aircraft packages with air-to-air fighters, bombers, tankers, electronic warfare jets, and drones, all coordinated by you. At 3 o'clock, you're studying satellite imagery of simulated target complexes. At 600, you're briefing the package. At 9 o'clock, airborne, leading 40 jets through contested airspace while an enemy is actively trying to jam your radar and shoot you down. At 1300, you're debriefing for 4 hours. At 1800, you're studying again. You graduate. They give you a patch with a target and crosshairs. The Weapons School Graduate Patch. In the fighter pilot world, this is the equivalent of a PhD. When you walk into a squadron wearing that patch, the room goes quiet for a different reason now. You're not just a pilot anymore. You're a tactician, a strategist. An authority on how to win in the air. Your new call sign is longer. It carries weight. Level 8, the Squadron Commander. 15 years in, Lieutenant Colonel. They give you a squadron, 24 F-16s, 300 personnel, pilots, maintainers, weapons loaders, intelligence officers. Your squadron deploys in 4 weeks. You're responsible for every jet, every sortie, every person. You stop flying every day. Now you fly twice a week. The rest of the time, you're in meetings, readiness reports, manning issues, aircraft maintenance schedules. A pilot's marriage is falling apart. A maintainer tested positive on a drug test. An engine failed during a training sortie and the pilot had to eject. He's alive, but the jet is a $30 million pile of metal in a Nevada field. All of it lands on your desk. All of it is your problem. You deploy to the Pacific. The threat isn't the Middle East anymore. It's a near-peer adversary with fifth-generation fighters and advanced missile systems. The rules of engagement are different here. Everything is more calculated, more political, more dangerous. You fly a night mission over international waters. A formation of foreign fighters intercepts your patrol. They fly close, dangerously close, wingtip to wingtip. One of their pilots flashes his weapons bay at you. He's showing you he's armed. Your wingman asks for permission to lock him up with radar. You say no, not yet. One wrong move and this becomes an international incident. Or a war, you hold formation. You hold your nerve. Eventually they break off. You file the report. It goes straight to the Pentagon. You've earned your senior pilot wings now. 7 years as a rated pilot. Over 2,000 flight hours. The wings on your chest have a star and wreath. They mean something. They mean you've survived long enough to know what you're doing. Level 9, the General. 25 years, Brigadier General. 1 star. You command a fighter wing. 72 aircraft. 5,000 personnel. A budget bigger than some countries' entire defense spending. You don't choose missions anymore. You choose strategy. Which squadrons deploy where? How many jets to forward position in Europe versus the Pacific? Which pilots are ready for combat and which need more training? You sit in rooms with intelligence briefings marked top secret SCI. You see things that will never be public, threats that don't have names yet. Your flying time is limited now, once or twice a month. But when you strap into an F-16, it all comes back. The smell of the oxygen mask, the click of the harness locks, the throttle under your left hand. You're 60 seconds from being a lieutenant again, everything else disappears. The politics, the paperwork, the stars, gone. Just you and the machine. You earn your command pilot wings. 15 years as a rated pilot, over 3,000 flight hours. These are the highest aeronautical wings in the Air Force. Only the most experienced pilots alive wear them. They promote you again. Major General, 2 stars, then Lieutenant General. 3 stars, you're now responsible for an entire numbered Air Force, hundreds of aircraft, tens of thousands of people, operations spanning continents. You sit in the war room at the Pentagon. The Secretary of Defense asks for your recommendation. You give it. 10 minutes later, jets are taking off on the other side of the world because of what you said. Pilots you trained, tactics you wrote, missions you designed. Except now you're watching them on a screen instead of flying them yourself. That's the trade. The higher you climb, the further you get from the jet. The thing you love the most becomes the thing you do the least. But every order you give, every strategy you shape, is informed by 10,000 hours behind the stick. You know what it sounds like when a missile-locked tone screams in your headset. You know what 9Gs feels like on a Wednesday morning. You know what it means to press the pickle button, and you know what it costs. Level 10, the Ace. You retire after 30 years. 30 years of jet fuel and adrenaline. 30 years of 400 wake-ups and Mach 2 sunsets. 30 years of missions that made the news and missions that no one will ever know about. They hold a ceremony, a final flight. You take an F-16 up one last time. You climb to 40,000 feet, higher than commercial airliners fly. The sky above you is dark blue, almost black. You can see the curvature of the earth. Below, the country you spent your life defending looks small. Quiet, peaceful, you land. They spray the jet with water, a military tradition for a final flight. Your squadron is lined up on the tarmac. The pilots you trained, the officers who served under you. Some of them are wearing the patches you designed, flying the tactics you created, leading the missions you built. A 4-star general pins a medal on your chest. He says something about service and sacrifice. You don't hear most of it. You're looking at the jet, the one-seat cockpit with the bubble canopy, the machine that changed your life. You walk away. But you don't walk away, not really. You hear jet engines in your dreams for the rest of your life. Every time a fighter screams overhead, you stop. You look up. You know exactly what the pilot is doing inside that cockpit. You know the G-forces pressing on his chest. You know the radar picture in front of his eyes. You know the cold focus, the controlled fear, the feeling that nothing else in the world matters except the next 3 seconds. They'll put your name in a display case at your old squadron. A photo, a call sign, a list of deployments. New pilots will walk past it every morning. Most of them won't look twice, but one of them will stop. One of them will read your name, and he'll wonder what it was like. He has no idea. The cycle begins.